Hi, my name is Dawn Gibson. Welcome to the Confident Parenting Connection, where I help you see and own your value so you can raise confident kids and live the life that you desire. And today I have a special guest, Jessica Donovan, and she is with me today. We're going to talk about awakening moms to the fact that their whole family will benefit if they start to prioritize their own well-being. And this conversation is going to be centered on real food and nutrition that is going to help you moms get back to feeling and looking great. And I'm so happy you're here, Jessica, and I'm just going to go into a little intro about you, and then I would love for you to open up and tell us your story and what brought you to this place. So Jessica is a naturopath and a women's holistic health expert who helps women get their sparkle back and become more energetic, calm, and joyful version of themselves. And quite frankly, who doesn't want that? I think everybody wants that. And she's the founder of Energetic Mama, which she created after seeing countless moms in her naturopathic clinic that were overwhelmed and exhausted and out of balance. And she's also recently released her brand new online program that we'll hear more about later called Delicious Wellbeing. It's a 6-week e-course about nourishing moms to vitality through real food. And Jessica has tons of knowledge in women's health, which she combines with her realistic, empathetic, and inspiring down-to-earth approach to empower women to look after themselves and to take charge of their own well-being. She is on a mission to make nutritious eating and a healthy lifestyle a no-brainer. How? By providing the tools and tricks to help women incorporate healthy habits into their daily lives without even thinking about it. And I cannot wait to hear more about that, because I would love to be in a place where I can incorporate those things without even thinking about it. So thank you so much for being here, Jessica. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to talk to me and the other ladies who are going to benefit from this conversation we're having today.
Thank you, Dawn. It's so lovely to be here from the other side of the world.
Yes, I know. You're in Australia, right?
I am, yeah, on the south coast of Australia, and it's the middle of summer here. We're in the middle of a heat wave, actually. So.
Oh, really? So it's hot. Okay.
It's hot, yeah.
I'm in Texas, and so it goes from 75 to 40 day to day.
Yeah.
So it's like there's no defined seasons here anymore. So I would love to hear a little bit about your story and really why this topic is important to you, and it's something that you really want to share and talk about.
Yeah, well, I guess, my whole journey into natural medicine and nutrition really started when I was about 15, so quite a few years ago now. And I had some hormonal issues when I was 15. So as you do, my mum took me off to my GP. I had really bad skin, which is, soul destroying as a 15-year-old, acne and just period issues, irregular periods and that sort of thing. And I really just wasn't feeling all that well, low energy, that sort of thing. And so the doctor prescribed the oral contraceptive pill for me, which I took because all I wanted was clear skin as a 15-year-old. That's right. All that really mattered.
Of course.
And it worked. It was like magic. My skin cleared up. I had a regular cycle, and all was good. So I took it for a few years, and I then, I thought I was cured. So I came off the pill because I didn't really, I always had that feeling that I didn't really want to be taking it. It was something, artificial that I didn't want to be putting into my body. But when I came off it, all my symptoms came back with a vengeance. So I started taking it again, but it got me thinking, like, this is not, it's not a fix. It's not getting to the underlying cause. It's a Band-Aid solution. And that cycle went on for a few years. I came off, I went on, and every time I came off, my symptoms were actually worse. So wow. I thought, I started thinking ahead and thinking, what about when I want to have babies? I was nowhere near that yet, but, I knew that I had to find a better solution. So I saw a naturopath and changed my diet and, and got really good results. So that's what got me interested in becoming a naturopath. So I studied to become a naturopath and, haven't looked back since. So I've been a naturopath for 15 years now, sort of practicing on and off. I've done lots of traveling and that sort of thing in that time as well before I had children. And then I guess the next part of the story is I had children. I have now a 7-year-old son and a nearly 5-year-old daughter. And so when I went back to work as a naturopath after having children, I naturally attracted more mums into my clinic. Right. So mums, just because of the circles that I was hanging out with, you know, playgroup mums and mums from my mum's group and that sort of thing. That's sort of how I started building my business after having children. And, you know, these mums were not in a good way. They were tired, they were stressed, and they had all sorts of health issues, you know, related to that. So their hormones were out of whack and they had digestive issues like bloating and abdominal digestive discomfort, and they had, you know, the hormonal conditions, so PMS and heavy periods, painful periods, and then more serious hormonal issues like endometriosis and polycystic ovary syndrome and that sort of thing. So, and a lot of them just really tired, really run down, you know, headaches, all of those kind of symptoms that we tend to accept as, you know, normal. Yeah. As women. But it was affecting their lives, their children's lives. And so I was having really great results with these mums in my clinic, simply by changing their diet, what they were putting into their mouths, and also, you know, focusing on their nutrition. And I use herbal medicine quite a lot as well, and also looking at their lifestyle habits. So making changes to those things. And my approach really is all about, you know, I always say I'm a realistic naturopath. A lot of people are terrified to go to a naturopath because they're going to be told to stop eating this and stop eating that and stop doing this, and it's all about things that they need to stop doing. Right. Whereas I try and focus more on adding the good stuff in, and then, you know, there's naturally less room for the stuff that's causing the issues. And so because I was getting such great results in clinic, I wanted to kind of expand my reach. So I developed my online online business, which is Energetic Mama, and that was all about delivering my naturopathic knowledge in a different way, I guess, online through ebooks and e-courses and blogging and that sort of thing. So by doing that, it's really exciting because I'm able to reach women from all over the world. You know, my new course, I've started enrolling in my new course, and I've had a lady in Japan register and a lady in Edinburgh and lots of local ladies as well. But, you know, it's really exciting to know that I can help women from all over the world. And so they're able to access, you know, my knowledge and, you know, what I've gained from my 15 years experience as a naturopath.
So what do you feel for you was the most important change you made? You know, you said that you went to a naturopath and you probably changed your eating and things like that, but what do you feel was the biggest thing for you, maybe the biggest challenge for you, and also the biggest shift, like what made the most difference?
Yeah, I think just realizing that food is, you know, looking at food as nourishment for my body, not just, you know, I was brought up with, you know, a fairly okay diet, but lots of, you know, processed snacks in between, which, you know, is really common here in Australia, and I know it is over in the States as well. It is. You know, the typical supermarket food, food in a packet that a lot of mums are actually drawn to because it's, you know, it's quick and convenient and easy. So I think that the biggest change, or the biggest kind of, thing that I got out of it is eating more real food. So, and when I talk about real food, I'm talking about food that comes from nature, as close to nature as possible. So straight from a plant or an animal in its natural state. And I think that's where, you know, we're going wrong in the Western society these days is the food that we're eating is not even necessarily real food. It's, right. You know, a heap of chemicals, and it's highly processed. and it does nothing for our body. It doesn't provide our body with the fuel that it needs.
Right.
And it actually, you know, has ingredients in it that are harmful for our health instead of being nourishing to our body, which is what food is all about, right?
Yes, absolutely. You know, I can really relate to some of what you were talking about with the moms that lacked energy and all these things. I have 3 children, and I would say, you know, for a long time, I didn't know, you know, what was going on. And I ended up going to somebody. She wasn't a naturopath, but she did like the standard process stuff. She was an acupuncturist, and she worked with nutrition, and that was really helpful for me. But like you were saying, there was a lot of cut this out, cut that out, cut this out, cut that out. And I was very resistant for a while, even though we buy gluten-free at home and we don't buy dairy products for the most part and things like that, things that she was wanting to cut out. But if I would go out to eat, it was something I might have. But after I did cut a couple things out and then I ate it again, I then noticed like, oh, okay, you know, I really feel horrible, or I'm really bloated, like super bloated, or I thought this was my natural state of being. I thought I was just a bloated person, you know, which sounds silly. But I think also when we get so into motherhood and taking care of our children and focusing on our children, that even though the work that I do is mind body work. And so it's really getting women into their bodies and noticing what's happening inside their bodies from an emotional standpoint, but also a physiological standpoint, since we carry, you know, whatever's happening physiologically, there's usually an emotional component. But at that time, even I was a little more disconnected from my body. And so I guess my question is, how do you get moms to make that shift to where they're not just reaching for the chips or whatever is closest to them, or they're not binging on sugar or doing those things? You know, how do you help them take the steps to incorporate the healthy, the daily activities or whatever into their daily lives?
Yeah, and that's a good question. And it's a process, and I'm always talking about that to my clients. So, you know, you can't expect to go from, eating one way to completely changing in a day or a week. It's slow changes that have to happen. I think as women, we tend to, just what you were saying before about, you felt like that was you were bloated. That was,
yeah.
And I think we start to accept these things like bloating or, getting moody and irritable.
Yep. It's just my hormones, or I just had a baby, or I'm on my period, or all these things that society has told us is wrong with us and why we act this way,
That's right. We get used to waking up with a headache and taking some Panadol or some sort of pain relief to get rid of it. We get used to being tired all the time. We just feel like, oh, well, I'm a busy mum, it's just part of it. But, all of those little symptoms that are telling us something, they're signs to us that our body is out of balance and something needs to be done. And I think, well, definitely in this country, in Australia, I see lots of women that have gone to their doctor, and their doctor has said that, well, you're a mum, you're a busy mum, it's normal to be tired, it's normal to have headaches. And so that kind of advice really doesn't help, because it's not normal. It's not the way that, it's definitely not a nice way for us to live.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So back to your question about how to kind of get mums to make those changes. I think first and foremost, the work that I do with mums is to help them start to prioritize their own well-being. So as mums, it's usually all about everyone else, our kids, our husbands or partners, our extended family, our friends, and a lot of women are just give all the time, and they forget to look after themselves. And a lot of women view looking after themselves as selfish. We're here as mothers to look after everyone else, and that's what we should do. But the big message that I like to help mums to start to realise is that if they start to look after themselves and prioritise their own well-being, then that has a really positive ripple effect on the rest of the family. Because, if mum's grumpy and moody and tired and irritable, then it doesn't help the family.
No, it doesn't. Nobody wants to be around you. I mean, and I can speak from experience, you know, at postpartum when I was having those mood swings and mood issues. And it's like, your kids don't want to be around you and you don't feel good about yourself and you feel guilty. And then you think, oh, something's wrong with me. And I have to say, for the longest time, I thought that I was, you know, I'm a very conscious mom. I'm very mindful. I teach about this stuff and brain development. And I thought, well, I'm just not doing it right. Like I'm just not doing it right. And so I actually went to see somebody because I thought, well, maybe I'm just not a good mom. And then eventually years later, literally probably after my third child was born. So that was, you know, 5 years after my first one was born, is when I went to see a naturopathic, well, she was a naturopathic doctor. She was a holistic doctor, but she incorporated all these different things. And she said, oh, you have adrenal fatigue and all these other things going on that my endocrinologist, you know, they don't acknowledge that here in the States anyway, where I live. They don't acknowledge the adrenal fatigue as a real thing. But after I was given supplements for the adrenal fatigue, guess what? You know, it helped level me out. And then I was just like, oh my gosh, that's all. I just needed some extra support until, like you were saying, until I could start living a more healthful lifestyle. You know, and sometimes that's all it's about. It's like, we just need that extra support, whether it's supplements or whatever it might be, herbs or homeopathic remedies or flower essences, whatever it is for each person. I mean, there's so many different ways to get that support internally and physiologically, but I feel like we have this knee-jerk reaction to ourselves is that there's something inherently wrong with me, instead of looking to the body first and seeing like, okay, physiologically, what is happening with me? Because I am acting out all over the place. We just assume that we're just not good people, you know?
That's right. Yes. And I can really relate to that. Like, I'm definitely not perfect either. I'm prone to hormonal imbalances. Yeah. So I really have to work hard to keep my hormones balanced.
Me too.
So, yeah. So, and I think most women really, really do. So I find, you know, if I'm drinking, say, you know, a few too many glasses of wine or having too much sugar, then premenstrually, I really notice the change in my hormones, and I get moody and irritable. And the kids and the husband pay for that, right. Because you're not acting like you would like to, because your hormones are imbalanced. Right. So I think that's a really good point, because often we blame it on, our kids are playing up and what is wrong with it, that they've got behavioural issues or whatever, which may be the case. But often if we look at ourselves and start to look after ourselves, and when I talk about mums nourishing themselves, obviously food is one of the big ways to do that, but also, mums need to nourish themselves emotionally and mentally. Absolutely. Take time out for themselves regularly, which a lot of mums don't do. And just, find those little moments within everyday life as a mum that you can sort of practice some self-care. It doesn't need to mean that you have to go for an hour massage every week, because that's unrealistic for a lot of mums. But, it can mean that you stop cooking dinner and put the music on when the mood goes a bit low, and, dance around with your kids, or, just step outside and go jump on the trampoline. You can practice self-care as a mum with your children. It doesn't necessarily mean that you need to be, meditating for an hour or going for an hour massage or having a date out with your girlfriends. All of those things are great if you can do them, but it's not realistic to be able to do those things every week as busy.
Yeah, and it also depends on the age of your kids. I know that now that my youngest is 4, I have 3, and my oldest is 9, so 9, 7, and 4, and I know that now I'm feeling more like I can do more of those things for myself, whereas when they were all really young and 5 and under, it was a struggle to really incorporate the core routines. But like you were saying, and I've been doing a lot of stuff on self-care over the last few weeks in these different episodes, and going back to nature, just getting outside, just breathing fresh air, just taking several deep breaths a few times a day. I have this intention reminder app on my phone where I have little affirmations or little reminders of, okay, breathe. Now my kids are at the point where it'll go off the Mommy, it's time to breathe. And so I'm like, why don't y'all breathe with me? And so it's like this thing we do together now. But
yeah, that's great.
It's fun and it's helpful, and it just keeps me, just little reminders throughout the day, like, okay, it's time to just take a look, take a breath, just feel what's happening in my body, see what's going on with me, just trying to get away from the busy grind that we get into with cleaning the house and folding the laundry and doing the dishes and working outside the home and having to do school pickups and, volunteering at the school or whatever. We do so many different things that it's so important to nourish ourselves in those ways. And I would say, so I have a question for you. So when you work with moms when you are working with them from the food perspective, do you find that they're able to easily incorporate the whole foods eating into their children's lives with success? Or do you feel like it's, because I know my son, when he was little, he used to eat steamed garlic, cloves, and beets. And now at 7, I can't get him to put a vegetable in his mouth. So I have to grind up spinach and put it in pastas and kind of just mix a bunch of vegetables cut up really small, in meals.
Yeah.
And so do you find that they're able to start incorporating that into the family as a whole, or is it just?
So it definitely varies from family to family. I'm glad you brought this point up, actually, because it's another area that I'm really passionate about. And I do have another e-course. I've got my Delicious Wellbeing e-course, which I'm in the middle of kind of enrolling now, but I have another e-course that's called Natural Super Kids, which is all about this subject. So it's about helping parents to nourish their children and boost their health, because another thing that I see in clinic a lot is kids that are unwell, that they've got behavioural issues, they've got tummy issues, all sorts of health issues, eczema, asthma, allergies, all of those things that are really common these days and have a lot to do with the food that we're eating. So I think, every family is different. I definitely, encourage mums to make the changes to their whole family. I'm a big fan of the, this is what we're having for dinner approach, as opposed to, okay, I'm going to make this for me because I'm being healthy, but he doesn't eat this, so I'm going to make this for this particular child, and this child will only eat this.
I used to be in that dance. And it was horrible. It was so horrible. And I finally got to the point where I would just make a meal and someone wouldn't like it. It's like, okay, but then I had healthy options in the fridge. So if you would like something else, you are welcome to go look in the fridge and find a healthy option, but I'm not making 20 meals anymore because it was exhausting. And that's part of, and by the end of the day, you're already so tired, and then you're trying to please everybody. And it just didn't work for me either. And I don't remember having that special treatment as a child either. But then I also don't want to get into the power struggles over food, because I know that you can create disordered eating and some other things as well. So I feel like it's this fine.
Yes. It is. It's a kind of touchy subject, and I can understand why mums do it, because mums get attached to wanting their kids to have dinner. Right. So they'll make all these different, meals for everyone to ensure that everyone eats. But by doing that, we're actually, we're encouraging that fussy eating. And so, with kids, and sometimes if they're used to a certain food and it's a big change for them, it might have to happen slowly. But by saying this is what we're having for dinner, you don't have to eat it, you don't have to eat it all, but this is what we're having, this is all there is. Right. And it might sound a little bit harsh, but there's usually something on the plate. And as a mum, you have to think, maybe when you're putting a meal together, to at least put something on the plate that each child is going to eat. Right. But a lot of the fussiness just comes from like a bit of a power struggle with kids. So by saying, this is what we're eating, I don't agree with forcing children to eat.
I don't either.
This is, if you don't want to eat this, there's nothing until breakfast time. This is the advice that I give, and generally I do follow this. My two are fairly good eaters, but I do put that down to the habits. A lot of people say to me, "Oh, you're so lucky, your kids eat everything," but maybe there is an element of luck there. I'm not sure. But right from get-go, it's been, they've eaten what we've eaten. maybe, you know, as little babies, obviously you
Right.
puree it or have it in a bit of a different form. But by offering them, oh, if you're not going to eat that, you can have this. They know that they're going to get that, you know, that option, so that they will become fussier, is what I believe. So yeah, to answer your question, I do encourage mums to get their whole family on board with healthy eating. But for people that it is going to be a big change for, I do, you know, recommend making changes slowly, because kids do not like change. You know, you can't go from giving them pizza for dinner every night, as an example, to, you know, some steamed fish and vegetables,
Right.
which they might have never had. So, you know, say the pizza example, you might just want to start adding some extra nutrition on top of the pizza. So adding more vegetables and or, you know, perhaps
That's when I grind up the spinach and the sauce. Like anything with sauce, I grind spinach up in it. Just put a ton of spinach. I'm like, okay, at least they have, you know, if they're going to eat, you know. And I have to say though, I feel like my kids were really good eaters in the beginning, but I feel like they go through phases. And so I feel like sometimes they're all about certain things and then they stop liking something. And then and I even went through that too. I mean, I feel like as an adult, I had a very small amount of food that I would eat, you know, different types of foods. And then, and as I've gotten older, I've started incorporating things that I hated when I was younger in. And so I'm just wondering if that's part of it too, that sometimes they don't like it, you know, and it's just gross. And in our home, I have like maybe 3 meals that I know that everybody likes and that everybody will eat. And then I can incorporate vegetables and protein and all of those things in it. But when it comes to just generally speaking, I mean, it does feel like a challenge sometimes in making lunches and things like that.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree. Like my littlest, my daughter, is kind of more fussy. My son will eat anything. She goes through fussy times. But you know, yeah, it's like, well, if you don't want it, then you don't, you know, I'm not going to force you to eat it. But it usually comes around again. So you know, she'll realize that that's all she's getting, and she'll kind of reluctantly kind of, you know, start eating it. But I agree, it is a struggle, and you know, lunch boxes and that sort of thing, it's time consuming. And so I go into a detail in a lot of this in my Natural Super Kids e-course. Fussy eaters, and also you know, looking after kids' digestive health is really important, because that, and our own as mums' digestive health, because that really is the core of our health. It's where we absorb our nutrients. It's where 80% of our immune system is located in our gut. Our gut health has a big influence on our mental health. So having healthy gut can really help with things like depression and anxiety and stress symptoms. So the gut really is, like, as a naturopath, we call it, you know, the core of our health. So that's a really important consideration when it comes to both mums and kids' health, or everyone's health really. And, you know, our gut health really comes down to the kinds of foods that we're eating. Are the foods that we're eating nourishing our gut health, or are they depleting our gut health?
Right. Yeah. I mean, and it sounds so simple, right? but what I like, and it is simple, but it can be challenging. But what I love about your approach is that it's a slow approach. Like, it's not this all or nothing, this, oh, well, you're either doing it well or not doing it well. You know, it's a slow shift, because it's not about diet, and it's not, I mean, what I mean is it's not about dieting, and it's not about eating right or eating wrong. It's really about adopting a healthier lifestyle and caring enough about ourselves and our bodies to make certain choices. And I'm 40, I'll be 43 in a few weeks. And so my body has changed a lot, and I've put on some extra pounds over the last year, which I'm actually comfortable with. But I feel like, you know, also it makes me wonder, like, is it hormonal? Is it some of the stuff and I know some of the stuff I'm eating, but it's, you know, do you work with women who are older and dealing with those hormonal shifts and the weight gain, and their kids may be a little bit older? It's not necessarily the postpartum weight, but do you work with that type of woman as well?
Yeah, definitely. And it's a really common kind of occurrence where women, as they get older, you know, it's harder to shift the weight. It's harder to, you know, stay at the size or the, you guys measure in pounds, don't you?
Right.
I was going to say kilograms, because that's what
they can look it up. No. Pounds, kilograms.
Yeah, kilograms, pounds. But my big message is not to get caught up on what the scales say as well. As we get older, we do, it's natural for us to put on a bit of weight, for it to be harder to shift. Sure, some of that can be related to hormones, like our thyroid function, our female hormones changing at that age, definitely. But I think a big part of it is women have that, unrealistic goal that they want to be that same size they were when they were 25. And it's just, after 2 or 3 or 4 kids or whatever it is, and as your hormones change, it is actually normal to kind of put on those few extra kilos. And it all comes back to really focusing on how you feel, as opposed to, so many of us want to eat a certain way because we want the kilograms or pounds to say on the scales to say a certain number, or we want to get rid of our flabby tummy or our flabby arms or whatever it is. On the way that we look, and that's why we eat a certain way. But my approach is all about focusing on the way that we feel, and the looking good will naturally follow, because when we're eating well, we maintain our ideal healthy weight much easier, and also our skin is clearer, our eyes are more sparkly or clearer, so our whole the way we look does benefit from the way that we eat. But I don't like to focus on particularly the weight, because then we get stuck in the trap of counting calories, which I'm not for at all. I get asked the question about calories all the time. Oh, but isn't that recipe that you wrote, how many calories are in that? I say, I don't know. I don't count calories. I count nutrition, is what I say. So it's all about getting more nutrition in. It does, nuts. I'm a big fan of nuts, almonds, macadamia nuts. Do you get macadamia nuts over there? They're Australian.
Yes, I love macadamia nuts.
Oh, they're so delicious. Walnuts and cashews. So I'm a big fan of nuts, and a lot of my recipes have nuts in them. And, but people say, but they're high in fat and they've got lots of calories, but they've got good nutrition in them. So it's my approach is all about getting the nourishment in, not focusing on the calories. I think I went a bit off tangent then.
No,
sorry.
I like that, and I think you didn't go off tangent. This is how these things work. But I had an eating disorder for a long time as a high school and college student, and it was all, and I was a competitive athlete, and so it was all about like how much I weighed and how small I was and those things. And so that's something that I've really healed from. And so it's been interesting with this weight gain, because it's really the weight I was at right after, when I couldn't lose the last 10 to 15 pounds after my third one, because the other ones dropped off really fast, like real fast. I've always had a really high metabolism after healing from my eating disorder. But I felt like, but now I'm the same weight I was when I was struggling. But when I was struggling, I was really dissatisfied with my body. But now I'm not. I feel like it's a mindset shifting thing. It's about, like you said, like I actually feel pretty good in my body right now. And maybe I could stand to lose a little bit of my belly, but I feel good in my body. And I love how you have women focus on that, because I feel like it's not even a mindset shift. It's a societal shift in the way that we view food, in the way we view our bodies as women, because, and I'm about to go on a tangent, because of the bombardment that we get, if that's a word, of, all of the ads and from young children on up. And so I feel like I love that your focus is really on the way a woman feels, and not on calories, but mainly on nutrition. I think that's so important.
Yeah, and I agree, over in the States and here in Australia, we are, like, as women particularly, bombarded with those media images and, the magazine pictures, and it's
all about dieting, getting skinny, losing weight, having bigger boobs, small eating, whatever.
And everyone should be this size, 6 or 8. And, really, it's not realistic for all of us. And the unfortunate thing is it starts, I see my daughter, watching the music. She's nearly 5, watching the music clips. And you think, oh, this really is a bad message she's getting, like from a really early age. So I think it's important for us to, have those conversations with our
Absolutely.
children, daughters and sons, because, it's similar with boys as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so again, my holistic view, and part of what I talk about in Delicious Wellbeing, is having a healthy body image as well. So it's not all about getting to a certain size, because that's the healthy size, is to be a size 10. It's about doing what we're happy with, and as long as we're healthy and we feel good, it doesn't matter what size we're at.
Well, because you feel good, and so you'll feel good in your clothes, and you're not going to be so focused on, oh, I weigh 100 pounds or 180 pounds or 250 pounds or whatever it is for each person.
Yes. And a lot of us are waiting. I do have a lot of people that come to me in clinic because they want to lose weight, and it's really great for me to be able to change their thinking around to, like, let's get you healthy and feeling good. Because a lot of people, either overweight or not, they don't feel good in their body. So it's about starting to feel good. But a lot of people that want to lose weight, they're waiting for a certain time, or to get to a certain goal, until they're a certain size, or until the scales say a certain number, before they fully enjoy their lives. So before they want to get to that before they get married, or they want to get to that before they go on a holiday and feel comfortable in a bikini or whatever it is. So I always try and encourage these women to do those things that they're waiting that they're waiting to get to a certain size for. Do them now, and then the weight, like, it comes off a lot more easier if you're not kind of waiting to that magic moment.
Well, and for me, it goes back to the emotional healing piece, because it's not about your body. It's about how you feel about yourself as a person. It's shame that we carry. It's trauma that we carry in those things.
That's
but it's,
right.
And it's also about, the energy you're putting into it. If you're constantly focused on how fat you are, how you hate your stomach, it's just going to magnify in your mind, and you're going to be miserable. Whereas if you can focus on the things that you love about your body and the parts of your body that feel good to you and that you appreciate, then that is going to amplify. And then the parts that you don't like aren't going to seem as big of a deal. I mean, it's what we put our attention to expands.
Yes, I'm a big believer in that, in all aspects of life.
Yep.
We're focusing on how little money we've got and how many bills are coming in, then we stay in that cycle. And it's the same for weight. Yeah, we're focusing on how big we are, or that we don't like our nose, or whatever it is.
Exactly.
We focus on those things that we're worried about and that we're stressed about. And if we change our focus to the things that we like about ourselves, or the little miracles that are happening all around us every day that we tend to miss because we're so focused on the bad stuff, then that is life changing. I'm a big believer.
It is. So I just want to thank you so much for spending your time with me. And before we go, if you could let everyone know where we can find you, a little bit more about your e-course, and where they can go to sign up for that if they're interested in shifting the way they view their health and their life, and getting more into the daily patterns of taking care of themselves.
Sure. Thank you, Dawn. It's been so lovely speaking.
I know, you too.
So my main website where people can find me is energeticmama.com, and mama is spelled M-A-M-A. Some people get that spelling wrong. So that's my main site. That's where I blog, and that has links to my different courses and that sort of thing. And so, it's all about helping mums to start prioritizing their own well-being, and, to start feeling great again. And then my course that's enrolling at the moment is called Delicious Wellbeing, and it's deliciouswellbeing.com. And that is it's a 6-week e-course, as you said at the start, that's all about nourishing mums to vitality. So it's not a prescriptive program, like, you have to eat this for breakfast on Monday, and this is how many calories you should have, and it's just guidance, and it's bringing my naturopathic knowledge, and I guess delivering it in an online format. So I've got lots of really fun and practical videos of me in the kitchen talking about different foods and recipes. There's lots of recipes to download. There's guest expert interviews talking about things like body image and raw foods, and reconnecting to ourselves as mums. So it's holistic. It's it's not just eat this and don't eat that. It's a holistic nutrition program, and it's focusing on mums feeling better, and that helps to address hormonal issues and digestive problems and fatigue and headaches and all of those sorts of things. And then my Natural Super Kids course is another one which you can find on my main site, and that will be enrolling in a few months. I haven't set the date yet, but if you get on my mailing list, you'll get all the details about that.
Well, it was so lovely speaking to you, and all of those courses sound fantastic, and I hope that you moms out there go ahead and take control of your health and your bodies and your lives, and check out Jessica, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much, Jessica. I really appreciate you being with me today.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.